Hi guys, Martin here. Today we're going to do a quick review of the Xperia M5 from Sony. As you can see, it's a nice little thin form factor phone. And we have a 5-inch 1080p IPS display with a pixel density of 441. Front here we've got the 30 megapixel front facing camera, we have our proximity sensors and light sensors, we have a little speaker there for the calls. At the bottom we have our microphone. At the bottom here we have the loudspeaker and the micro USB. On this side, this is where the SIM card and the micro SIM is displayed. Here we have it's a nano SIM, and obviously the micro SD card, which is up to 200 gig, so that's quite good. At the top here we have a headphone jack, and that'll be the voice cancelling. The noise cancelling microphone right there. This side we have the power on off button, the volume rocker, and the dedicated shutter key. On the back we have our 21.2 megapixel camera, our LED flash, the NFC part there, Sony branding, and the Xperia logo right there. We have 3 gig of RAM in this, with 16 gigabytes internal storage, but as mentioned you can upgrade this up to 200 gig with a micro SD card. It's a MediaTek MT6795 Helio X10 chipset in this, with an octa-core 2 GHz Cortex A53 processor, and then we have the GPU, which is PowerVR G6 200. I've had this a few days now, and so far I'm liking it. There's a few things that, well, I say a few things, just a couple of things, but I'll go into that in just a second. I want to just talk briefly about this the user interface. Now it's quite fast, as you'd expect. The 3 gig of RAM now actually states when you, obviously, when you get memory and stuff, you don't always get what's displayed for obvious reasons, but when you have where is it? Let me just find it. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Basically, it states it's 3 gig of RAM, but here obviously it states something totally different. If I can just find it. No, there we go. So it's basically displaying 2589 meg, so that's 2 gig or whatever. So yeah. So anyway, so yeah, it's quite nippy. I've had no lag from the time I've been using it. Good thing as well is there's no crapware installed. There's a couple of Vodafone bits, but majority of the inbuilt apps you can disable anyway, so that's not really an issue. I'm not going to go too much into the user interface, because if you've had a Sony, or it's pretty much the same across the board, so I won't go too much into that. I do want to go briefly into the camera settings and talk about the camera. Now, as I mentioned, this is a 21.2 megapixel shooter. Now, it's capable of recording 1080p video at 30 frames a second, and also 1080p video at 60 frames a second, and also 4K. Now the screen itself is just 1080p, so if you record 4K content, it's also going to be in 1080p resolution, unless you output it to a different, a 4K screen or whatever, using mirroring or put it to flash drive or something like that. Me personally, I've got no need for 4K at the minute. I will probably in the future, but at the minute 1080p 60 frames a second is fine by me. We have an actual a hybrid autofocus on this with a focal length of 2.2, and it's a hybrid phase detection autofocus, they call it, which just basically means that it's quick to focus in. So there's a couple of pictures that I took. I'll just give you a and then it goes like that, and then so yeah, it's fun, it's great. There's a 5 times zoom on this. I mean, obviously, with zoom, digital zoom, whatever, it just crops the image, but it's not too bad. It's supposed to basically, when you zoom in, the picture won't degrade unless it gets to after the certain point of the zoom, then it will start to degrade. But when it gets the little indicator, when you get so far in, if you can see that, there's a little indicator when you get so far in, it will degrade. But sorry about that, cat just jumped on the bloody table. Yeah, so it's quite good. Obviously you got your HDR, touch focus, the usual stuff. As mentioned, 4K, and it does 1080p 60 frames a second. Now, I've had a couple of issues with the 60 frame video, not on the phone, but on the computer, but I'll get into that in just a second. The front camera, as mentioned, is a 13 megapixel shooter. It does pretty much what the back does, other than it doesn't do 4K or 60 frames a second, but it does full HD, HDR, touch focus, stuff like that. So don't really need to go into that in much detail. The phone, it's LTE, 4G, nano SIM, Bluetooth version 4.1. Pretty much the basic specs, if you will, that you'd find on one of these phones anyway, and obviously a lot more. So I won't go too much into them because, like I said, there's no point. The battery is a 2600 milliamp battery. Now they claim it's you're about 2 days out of it. But obviously that depends on how you use it and stuff. From the minute I turned it on when I first got it, after I did the unboxing video, it went quite quick. But I suppose, you're going to use the battery a lot more the first couple of days anyway. But what I did was I just did a factory restore, and it seemed to have calmed it down. But obviously it takes time for the battery to get used to it itself, charge wise or whatever. But so far it's not been that bad. But 2 days, it is what it is. I suppose you can. I suppose if you just text and call every often, or not as often, should I say? But if you're constantly on it or you got the screen brightness fully up or whatever, it's obviously gonna drain the battery a lot quicker. I don't normally have it that high. I've just put it up here so the camera can pick up the screen better. So yeah, we'll move on from that. Obviously, it's a non-removable battery, which Sony seems to favour quite a lot these days. As mentioned, we've got the adaptive brightness, which is obviously a hell of a lot better than having to keep messing around with it yourself. There is a lot going for this phone. You know, the design itself, I really do like Sony, the Xperia designs. It's just something like, especially the back, really, really nice. I pretty much get all the Xperia phones that I get in white. Excuse me. I have had black in the past, but I think white, it just seems a lot cleaner and you get to appreciate the design a bit more. That's just me. Obviously you've got the rounded edges. I mean, they're pretty much the same design with Sony anyway, but they just do like little slight variations and whatnot. I mean, there's, to hold it does feel like an M phone, you know, like your M2, your M4 or whatever. It does feel like one of them. It doesn't feel as premium as, say, the Z series. But obviously this is a medium priced phone, so it's not supposed to be a flagship or whatever, but it's still comfortable to hold. I've noticed around the edges here, they feel a bit sharp in the hand, but if you've got a case on, then it's not really an issue, is it? So the camera, as mentioned, it's a great camera. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. It's taking some good photos, videos, outside and in. The autofocus, or should I say the hybrid autofocus, works well. No issues with that whatsoever. Having a up to 200 gig micro SD card is great. The phone itself is 16 gig built in, but with that 200 gig, that's peace of mind right there. It's IP68 and 68, and let me just check that out. Yeah, it's IP68 and 65, so it's like full dust proof and waterproof. But I've noticed that Sony, they have mentioned a couple of months ago that they don't recommend you dunking it in water or the sea or anything like that. But yeah, their adverts show you people in the swimming pools and stuff and sea. But anyway, in the rain, it's not going to be an issue. Or if you drop it down the toilet, providing you get it quick, whatever, yeah, it should be fine, no worries. But as long as the bay doors are closed, just that one there, because obviously the ports are exposed, will be treated anyway. So it's NFC, it's tap and pay enabled. So you know, any like Vodafone wallet, tap to pay, whatever it is, you can go ahead and do that. Obviously, if you have to get the app for the Pacific payment, whatever. I don't even know if Google Wallet is even available in this country yet. No idea. It's BG&M Wi-Fi dual band 5 gigahertz. So it's fully spec'd. Now I do believe that the camera, everything on this phone camera wise, front and back, is on the Z5. I might be wrong, but I'm sure, or should I say variation has went over, but I'm pretty sure that they both went over to Z5, but you know. There's a whole list of things that are alright about this phone, but I think I'm not going to badger on too much because I want to get to. It's not really a bad point. I mean, the screen it's a good screen, but it feels plasticky. But it could be because I'm coming from the Z series over to the M. So. Well, when I say come over, I obviously wanted to change, and this was an upgrade phone anyway. But I have got a Z3 coming and possibly a Z5. I don't know yet. I've still got a loads of stuff that's supposed to be coming, but I'm having some right issues with that. But that's a different video and story. Yeah, the screen, it does feel a bit plasticky, but it's supposed to be scratch proof or scratch resistant, should I say. I don't know what type of resistancy glass it's got on, if that's even a word, but yeah. But the main issue I've had, now I don't know if this is an issue, how the phone does what it does with the videos in-house. But when I've been taking like 4K or mainly 1080p 60 frames a second video, I've put it on the computer. Nothing will play it. Now it's nothing to do with the computer. It's more than capable of playing 60 frame video as well as 4K. I've tried loading the video onto Sony Vegas, and all that comes up is audio. So I don't know what's what. I've tried looking into it, but as of yet I've not had any answers. So if any of you guys know why or think you know why, put it in the comment box. It'll be much appreciated. It's not a big deal, but obviously it'll be nice to edit and render stuff on the computer in 4K and 60 frames a second. 4K I'm not too bothered about, as I've mentioned, but 60 frames a second, it would be nice. I do have another camera that does it, but it's not turned up yet. so it's not really a bad point. I mean, I don't know. I might have to do a reload on the computer or something, but I know it's not specs to do with the computer. The computer is more than capable of running stuff like that, so I don't know. I did email Sony, but I've not got nothing back yet, but we'll see what's what. I think that's pretty much sums it up, guys. The phone's great. No issues with it whatsoever. It's quite light as well. I've bought like a bunch of cases for it because I don't like having it bare like this because just asking for trouble. But yeah, I love the design. I mean, I always love the design, as I've said. It's just a great little phone, and the specs is pretty good, for the price range. About 200 and something pounds. It could be cheap, it could be less, it could be more, I don't know. But yeah. Obviously the front megapixel camera, that's wicked. Loving that. Obviously you've got Sony's like add-on apps, if you will, for the camera. The AR effect, and it does do slow motion at 120 frames a second video as well, which is good. But again, the computer just doesn't seem to recognize the video format. It just won't play. VLC, nothing will play it. So I don't have to look into that. But yeah, so great phone. I would recommend it. And if you got any questions or anything like that, hit it in the comments box. Don't forget, if you like the video, to like it and hit that subscribe button. and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.